So as an example, if you had $100 million of reassessment and you had a digest of $2 billion and your prior year millage was 5.283, the millage equivalent of that $100 million is 0.264 mils. So if you didn't set your millage rate at 5.019, if you left it at 5.283, you would have to advertise a 5.26% tax increase. For the actual calculation, for this year, we had $235 million in reassessment growth. The total digest was 5.3 billion, and the prior year millage again was 5.283. So the millage equivalent of the $235 million is 0.232 mils. So your rollback millage is 5.051. If you had left it at 5.283, you would have to advertise a tax increase of 4.59% and hold 3 public hearings. But the proposal tonight is to reduce the rollback millage of 5.051. The formulas that you use for millage, gross millage is the budgeted property tax and the budgeted local option sales tax divided by the total digest. And then for your lost rollback, you take your budgeted local option sales tax, divide that by your total digest, and the difference between those two is your net millage. Just as a reminder for local option sales tax, there is 8 cents sales tax in Lowndes County. 4 cents of that goes to the state of Georgia. 1 cent is for the T-SPLOST, which is the regional tax for transportation improvement. 1 cent is the SPLOST, which is split between the county and the cities for capital improvement. 1 cent is the education SPLOST, which is split between the school systems for capital improvement. And the other penny is for the local option sales tax, which is split between the county and the cities, and it's used for property tax relief. So that rolls back the amount that you would have to generate from property taxes and reduces that tax bill. So for the calculation on the M&O, which is the county portion of the millage, we have a comparison here of your prior year where the digest was $5.1 billion compared to 2025, which is $5.3 billion. And that difference in that millage, rolling it back from 5.283 to 5.051, is only about $20,000 difference in revenue. Your special districts, this is your industrial authority, recreation authority, and fire services. Your industrial and recreation are done on a county-wide basis, so they apply to that $5.3 billion digest. Last year, you reduced your industrial millage to 0.823. Our initial proposal was to raise that back to 1, which it had traditionally been set at, which at 96% collection would generate $5.1 million in tax revenue for them. There is another option that's been proposed to raise that to 1.1, which would generate about $500,000 in additional revenues. And on a $200,000 home, that would equate to about $7.40 on the tax bill. For the recreation authority, that has traditionally been set at 1.25, which is the minimum under that enabling legislation. That'll generate $6.4 million at 96% collection. Fire services is done from unincorporated digest, which is $2.6 billion. To set that at 2.5 at 96% collection generates $6.2 million in revenue for that fund. As an example, again, on a $200,000 house, there's a comparison here for 2024 to 2025, and this takes into account the county M&O millage, the recreation, industrial, the county schools, and the unincorporated fire. Under the 2024 rates, that would have generated on a $200,000 home a tax bill of $1,765. Under the proposed, and this is at 1 mil for the industrial authority, for a $200,000, property inside the city of Valdosta. The only difference here is you don't have the county fire and you have the, city of Valdosta added, and you have city schools instead of county schools on that same, $200,000 piece of property. Under 2024, the tax bill was $2,067. 2025, it would be $1,987, which is a savings of about $79, with the rollbacks between the school systems and the county and the city. Again, you would add $7.70 back, or $7.40 back to that if you chose to increase that industrial millage. Just breaking this down by dollar paid, for someone in the unincorporated area, for every dollar that they pay in property taxes, 22 cents comes to the county, 5 cents goes to the recreation authority, 4 cents to the industrial authority, 58 cents goes to the county school system, and 11 cents goes to the fire department. Inside the city limits of Valdosta, for every dollar that you pay, 19 cents goes to Lowndes County, 5 cents goes to recreation, 4 cents to the industrial authority, 23 cents to the city of Valdosta, and 50 cents to the city school system. Here's a breakdown of your millage history. Because of changes that happened with House Bill 581 and House Bill 92, those industrial and recreation villages are now considered special districts. So I changed this graph up a little bit, so those are now indicated by the lines on the bottom. So what you have, the larger bars, that is the county millage, and what you'll see is that the county millage is significantly less than it was as far back as 2005, but for the last 8 years in a row, there has been a decrease in the county millage. And then finally, this is just a chart that we always put at the end of the millage, as well as the budget, that shows where every dollar of your property taxes goes, and a comparison of that by dollar for each, the last 2 years for each department.
Any questions for Ms. Black?
Just one, Stephanie. I saw it, but it flashed so fast. The city school system went up 1 mil, increased their millage. Was that by 1 mil, or how much was it? Did the city school go up or down?
They went up.
So, no, it's for the city schools is actually going from 14.068 down to 13.304.
Okay, appreciate it.
The city school?
The city schools is going from
Oh,
14.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the red is the last year.
Any other questions?
Thank you for this information. Good job, Stephanie.
All right, if there's no questions, commissioners, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask a question.
Okay.
Do we need to specify if we move to approve this with the option for the development authority?
No, we're going through each one. We'll address, that's on another agenda item. We're addressing right now the county's adoption of the 2024